Hello and welcome to episode 7 of AARGH My Optics, a podcast where two adult men discuss, overanalyse and generally take a kid's cartoon and toy line a little too seriously. I am a host called Orion Ghia, and with me is a co-host called Virtual Dave. Hello Dave, how are you doing?
Hello, yes. Doing good. Good day.
Excellent. I'd usually say, in particular we talk about Transformers, and of course we will, a lot. But the topic of this episode is toy collecting, all toys, and in particular, toy hunting and buying. But before I start with that, we had a listener comment on Toy Collecting Part 1. That's right, we have at least one listener. Our first part of the Toy Collecting podcast was about what we buy and why. And in reference to the rules we set ourselves, a forum member called Primacron commented, "I enjoy your discussion on collecting rules. I think you have an unusually strict set of rules for yourself." And what do you think of that? Do you agree, Dave?
Well, it depends which one he was implying, because I think your set of rules is a lot stricter than mine.
He was talking about mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in answer to that, my rules are quite strict, but I break them all the time. And I blame lockdown boredom for a lot of it recently anyway. Sitting indoors on the internet, looking at toys, having a kind of itchy order finger, as it were. However, the rules do work, because my top few rules are only the best looking representation of my favourite characters and designs, and only one of each character at that scale. I started a Legends collection not so long ago, kind of centred around that Zeta Unicron, and I realised recently that that's got a bit out of control, because I've started buying characters that I already have a good representation of in a Masterpiece scale, and I don't really want many of the same character. So that's resulted in me kind of reassessing and decided I'm going to quit the Legends, or at least reduce the Legends down to just kind of stuff that goes with that Unicron. So just kind of 1986 movie specific characters. And nothing that kind of crosses over with the stuff that I've got from on my Masterpiece shelf. So it works to kind of make sure things just don't get horribly out of control.
I think we all have that. I think we all have like we might not call it rules, but we have like a little version of ourselves on our shoulders, like saying that this is a good idea and this is a bad idea. And
absolutely.
How much are you investing in this different version of Optimus Prime for the 150th time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to kind of have a word with yourself and go, do you really need this? If you didn't pre-order this or you didn't buy this, would you miss it?
My
optics! With that out of the way, we both collect toys. I think we've made that much clear. It's a big part of that is getting hold of new ones. Sometimes that's as easy as walking into a shop and handing over some cash, or visiting an online retailer and clicking buy now. And sometimes it's more complicated than that. Sometimes you need to hunt stuff. And that is the topic of today's podcast, the hunt. So Dave, how do you hunt for your new toys, both now and in the past?
Well, in the past it was probably more like a hunt, because you have to make the journey to a shop, and you have to make sure, because I would always have probably the common issue a lot of people have when they were younger is that you would see something you really like when you don't have the money for it. And then when you have the money for it, it's no longer in the shop. And it's like, well... Yeah. Oh, well. There was no... Oh, I'll check on eBay or I'll look it up online. It was none of that. It was just like, it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah. I wonder if I'll ever see that again. Yeah. That kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, in the past, I used to go to shops and I wouldn't know, like these days, you know what pretty much everything that's out. You know what the new toys coming out are. You know what they look like. You've probably already made a decision about whether you're going to buy it or not. Whereas when I was a kid, it was like I go to the toy shop and what I see in the toy shop is what I know is available. You know, And the only other way of knowing that is like looking at the backs of the boxes or the little catalogues or whatever, or the card backs, like the G.I. Joes used to have all the figures in that wave on the back, so you could kind of tick them off. But that's the only way you knew what was available. And I guess that also kind of leads into the hunting. So you'd see a figure in the catalogue or whatever, and you'd be like, well, I want that, but where the hell do I find it? And it's trawling around various toy shops looking for it. Whereas, today, the internet, you know everything that's coming out. It's up for pre-order at a particular time. Off you go and pre-order it, or you buy it online, or buy it from a shop online, and it's delivered to your door.
Yeah, it's a big difference from what I would like to call the Pokemon days, because it's kind of like you're roaming through a forest and you never know what's going to be there, which Pokemon's going to jump out at you. whereas now we've got the whole Pokedex. You know exactly who's going to be in which forest and which part of the town. So it's a wild Scorponok has appeared.
That kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it was potluck. But yeah, these days, hunting in regards to toys these days is if you're looking for something older or vintage that's no longer at retail, and then you've got to kind of like start trying to find someone selling it, whether it be on eBay or Facebook or forums or whatever. Hunting's a lot more digital these days. I certainly wouldn't go looking in shops for stuff generally.
Oh yeah, no, because I mean, if it is there, the chances of it being there while you're there is the gamble, really.
Yes, especially with the way a lot of toy lines are these days with their distribution. My optics! So when did you start hunting toys then?
I think it was probably like a few years ago, probably 2017 or so, when I started going back to Comic-Con and MCM, and where I was starting to like noticing a lot more of the vendors having their own online stores, and then I would, collect the information and follow it up once I got home, and I was like, oh, this is there, that's there. I always wanted one of those. Oh, well, I'll make an account. I'll add that to the cart. And it kind of just went downhill from there.
Conventions is a good example, actually. Yeah, that's another place where you can do a bit of hunting, because you can find rare stuff. I mean, I've been to Auto Assembly a couple of times. I want to go to a TFN at some point, but not got around to it. You'd find stuff there that was very, not stuff you'd normally be able to find online or whatever, because you've got dealers there. And back when I was first back into Transformers collecting, I used to just get pally with different retailers. It was a much simpler time back then, I think. But there's certain eBay sellers I would buy from regularly, and then I just get friendly with them and start emailing them, and then they just let me know when the next thing was in, and they just sell it to me outside of eBay.
Oh, that's cool.
And there was a place called Ellis Models. I forget where it was now, but it was only about a 45-minute drive away from Sheffield. It was Sutton in Ashford, actually, and the nice chap running the store, both in Idlewell Shopping Centre and online, was Dave Ellis. If you're listening, Dave, and we're sure you're not, you were hugely important in Proto-AARGH's collecting journey, and for that, we thank you. I started buying stuff from him online, and he had a shop in a stall in a market, an indoor market, and I'd let him know that I wanted this, that, or the other. He'd say, I'm getting these vintage figures in. I think I got what did I get from him? I got Beast Wars Tigerhawk for him, for example.
Wow.
And a few other bits and bobs. And yeah, we'd chat online, and I'd say, I'm looking for this, and he goes, oh, I think I can find you one of those. And then I'd drive down there and pick it up.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
My optics! I was thinking to myself my first memory of toy hunting, and it was probably when I went to Florida in 1991.
Wow.
Because at the time, me and my friend Oliver Henshaw were heavily into G.I. Joe. Mm-hmm. The Transformers bubble had just burst, and we're into G.I. Joe now for some reason. And him and his brother, obviously his parents, they'd been to America maybe 3 or 4 months earlier, and they'd come back with loads of fancy GI Joes that you couldn't get in the UK, and I was like, I want some of these. And when it was announced that we were going to go to Disney World, I was like, pretty excited about Disney World, but much more excited about going to Toys R Us and seeing if I could find several of these figures that I wanted. And I remember going in Toys R Us and like picking out all these figures that I'd wanted that I couldn't get in the UK, and bringing back. I brought back, I think, about 10 carded figures.
Wow.
And 2 vehicles for G.I. Joe. And I remember like searching various toy shops, including Toys R Us and a few, 1 or 2 others. I also brought back a Power Ranger as well.
What?
I think I told you about it. Like, it was an early version of
Oh yes, you did, yeah.
And I bought that just because it looked cool. I had no idea what Power Rangers was at the time. I don't think it might have been on UK. No, I don't know when it started on UK television, but I doubt it was 91.
It was 93 for UK television.
But there you go.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a Power Ranger. It was a Sentai figure. But I just thought it looked cool, and I had no idea what Power Rangers were. It was pre-Power Rangers and appears to have been a figure from the Super Sentai line, possibly Jetman. It wasn't very articulated, but had die-cast parts and a working holster, which back then was mind-blowing to a 12-year-old Orion Ghia.
So did you, when you were selecting these toys, did you keep the boxes or the cards, or did you just have to shake a chunk of your clothes and leave it in America to fit space?
I knew that I wanted to bring stuff back, so I think I made sure there was space.
Right.
I think my parents knew that we'd want to bring stuff back, so they had space in their suitcase. I was very lucky that I could buy that much stuff, to be honest. It's all gone now, sold it, but it was great at the time. So that's probably my earliest memory, because, previous to that, it was go down to the toy shop and whatever was there, you pick something out, rather than, I'm looking for this one, and this one. Yeah. And I'm going to go to this shop, and this shop, and see if I can find it. Which, of course, I've done a lot since. Obviously, I used to kind of go around the various toy departments of Sheffield looking for certain things from time to time, and then hop on the tram and go to Toys R Us if I couldn't find it in the city centre. And then when anytime I'd go to another city for whatever reason, I'd go, I'm just going to pop in here and see what they've got. I used to pick up stuff at car boot sales as well. Like, vintage stuff, kind of Generation 1 stuff. Oh, and my girlfriend at the time, this was in 2003 or something like that, she knew that her brother had a bunch of Transformers in the loft at her parents'. So we went through them all, and I just picked out various bits and bobs. A lot of them were a complete mess, but I got a nice set of long smokestacks for my G1 Prime, because I've got the reissue, the Toys R Us reissue with the stubby stacks,
the shorter ones.
So I've now got some vintage stacks on my. I have had that for years now, but yeah, like that. So I suppose that's hunting as well. It's hunting around in lofts.
That's so cool. I never really thought of it that way. I didn't, because back when I was younger, it wasn't really hunting. It was just, I see a Transformer, I get a Transformer. I wasn't being very selective. It was only if, like, in the AARGH catalogue where it would say, it may vary or something like that. Like, the picture might not necessarily be what you order when you put the number in. So sometimes you could view it or check to see if it was what they had. Yeah. Sometimes they would only have like one picture for all the deluxes in a wave or something. That was probably the only type of hunting I would think of at that time, because I was like, well, I want this one. Why don't you have this one?
Yeah, and the AARGH staff would be like, what's wrong with you? This is...
Yeah.
This is the thing. It's like, no, but they're different. Yeah, I remember doing that. I think I went down to Argos with my mate Stu when the first, classics became Universe 2.0 or whatever you want to call it, the second iteration of Transformers Universe. And I do remember going down to Argos with him because I think he wanted a particular one. It might have been Octane, or it might have been... What else is in that first wave? Was there Sunstreaker in there? Anyway, he wanted a particular one, and being very kind of can you bring them out and show me which ones you've got?
Yeah, but it's so different now. It's the amount of research and looking into things I do now is so different. Like, I'm so much more switched on to what's happening in the toy world.
Well, yeah, I mean, research, well, like I mentioned earlier, was when we were younger, when I was younger anyway, it really just was what you saw on the telly, what you saw on the back of boxes, what you saw in catalogues, be them the catalogues that came with the toy or AARGH catalogues or index catalogues or whatever. You'd learn about new toys that way, through either advertising or, your AARGH catalogue. So you wouldn't necessarily know everything that was out at that particular time.
It's probably the biggest influence the internet has had on the toy world is that the knowledge of releases and street dates or which is exclusive to what. Everyone knows it now, or the option for people to find out is a lot easier than it just being so random or I have no idea and,
Yeah, you can make a much more informed choice, but at the same time, there's so much choice as well.
That's also another thing.
I mean, at least back then, it was like, here's an Optimus Prime. I'm going to buy this Optimus Prime. Not, here's 50 different Optimus Primes. Which one do you want?
And this is only wave 1. Don't worry. There's more in wave 2.
There's this one this big, there's one this big, there's one made by Hasbro, one made by Karatomi, they've got slightly different paint. Then there's a bunch of third-party ones. Like, it's so much more choice than previous. It can be a little bit kind of daunting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course, and you've got the knockoff issue. I mean, back when I was shopping in shops, you could tell a knockoff from an official thing because the knockoffs were really bad back then for a start, and they wouldn't be sold in your regular toy shops. They'd be in like your budget shops.
Oh yeah, I remember going on holiday and there would just always be like so many knockoffs of G1 toys, either weirdly scaled or downsized or odd colours.
Yep.
I mean, looking back at it, I was like, it's a wonder why I bought as many as I did, but then it was probably my first experience with like G1 type of Transformers.
Yeah.
And it's quite surprising how some have still survived after so long, actually.
Yeah, some of them are shocking. I got a knockoff G1 Devastator, and it looked the part, but that plastic was so brittle. It snapped in so many places over the time I had it. I basically had to glue it together.
It's kind of like one of those, like an Indiana Jones film where you open the casket and then the air just instantly destroys it.
It just kind of evaporates, doesn't it? It just turns into dust. Yeah, absolutely. I've had a few nice knockoffs. I mean, obviously, these days there's some very, very nice knockoffs, which you tend to buy online. But I mean, actually bought in shops. Like, for a while, there were a lot of Binaltech knockoffs kicking about. And they were quite good. Just like various versions of... I think it was mostly Hound. I think there were a few others, but you could get Hound in almost every colour under the sun.
Where would you get a knockoff of a Binaltech back then?
They were really easy to find.
Oh.
They were just being sold in your kind of dodgy news agents and so on, and places like that.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, and they were die cast.
And they were wow.
Yeah, unlike the actual alternators that were actually at retail in the UK.
That's interesting. I didn't know that there was such KOs at the time.
Yeah, they weren't fantastic, but they were not bad. They had some kind of loose joint problems and things like that, but generally they weren't too bad at all. I got a white one and made it into a ratchet.
Oh, cool.
My optics! Yeah, the internet has really kind of made research a lot easier in that respect.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've got the whole long list of online retailers now where I think I only started originally with 2, which was Kapow Toys and In-Demand Toys. And now it's spread out to all sorts of different things. All different corners of toys.
Yeah. There's so many different places you can go to get this stuff now. Actually, talking about online retailers, maybe we should talk about pre-ordering, because that's kind of what we have to do these days.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare that you wait for something to be released and then you buy it. Especially the way things are released these days and how quickly things sell out.
I guess is what got me before, the recent years where things have been selling out so quickly, is just the weird type of commitment you have to make to it.
Mm-hmm.
That you pre-order something, so you get it when it eventually releases to the general public, but you could still go into a shop and have bought this thing, but you're kind of committing to this virtual agreement to buy it from this person when it comes out.
Yeah.
Which was a weird concept to me at the beginning, when I started pre-ordering stuff, but I mean, it's kind of a must at the moment. Like, if you don't pre-order something, you're definitely not going to get it.
Yeah, it used to just be that you'd do it just to kind of get a good price or something.
Yeah?
Not to ensure you actually get one. Which it really is now. Like, there's, especially with some stuff, which drives me a little bit crazy and has kind of like put me off some stuff. Like, that I'm quitting G.I. Joe Classified, and one of the main reasons I'm doing that is that they're so damn hard to get hold of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about the G.I. Joe line. I think it's a mixture of things. Like, one, Hasbro's distribution is kind of terrible, and it seems to be even worse in the UK. But it's also, I think it's because it's G.I. Joe. Like, for years I've heard of this franchise being knocked about and being wanting this scale and this, quality of, build and accessories and whatnot, but no one wants the small 3/4 or the giant ones like Hot Toys. People wanted that scale and that size for so long. So now it's happened. Literally, people's prayers have come to fruition, and now they're all jumping on it because it's a similar scale to what, presumably what they would collect normally. So,
well, yes, same scale as Black Series or Marvel Legends.
Yeah.
But it's frustratingly difficult to get hold of. Really, really difficult. Like, so much of the stuff comes out as exclusives to particular stores or websites or whatever, and they sell out really quick. I mean, this is me getting back into buying actual Hasbro product, which I've not done in, I would say, the last proper Hasbro toy I bought previous to starting to buy G.I. Joe Classified. It was probably Generations Rat Trap.
Mm-hmm.
I just picked up in a shop off a peg and went, oh, this is quite good, I'll get that.
That was quite a while ago, isn't it? Generations Rat Trap. It's
got to be over 5 years ago.
Yeah.
At least.
More.
Yeah.
I mean, as you can see, a lot has changed since then.
It's horrible. That's why I'm quitting again. Honestly, it's awful. I don't know how you live with it. It's like we're making this stuff exclusive, and it's not just a special character. It's one of the main ones you're gonna want. Like, it's stupid. Don't you have the same kind of issue with Seekers with War for Cybertron?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, there's always been a thing with Seekers, isn't it?
No, it's not. No, it's not always been a thing.
No. I mean, like, okay, of recent times, it's been this trend of like, well, we'll make this weird exclusive in a box set that you don't want any of the other figures, or it's impossible to get, or it's in a limited amount. But we'll do it every time with at least one of them.
Why are they such assholes? I just don't.
I don't know.
It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. I've realised, because yes, since lockdown, I've started buying more figures, and I've started buying things like that, and I've realised I want to just go back to my old ways of pre-ordering 6 to 10 figures a year, getting them, appreciating them on their own merits, having a good old time with each one individually, and then that's it. Rather than, I've got to pre-order this. I've got to put 6 pre-orders in for 6 different figures. They're all going to come within the same 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be chasing down this particular figure because it's so rare. It's like, I can't be doing with it. And then you don't get hold of that particular figure, and then you go on eBay and they're being sold for twice as much because people are scalping them.
Yep.
It's exhausting.
I think it's literally even worse in the UK because we don't have, for one, the distribution, and there's always such a delay on what we get compared to the rest of the world, or the rest of the Western world.
Yeah.
It's not, personally, it makes you more frustrated or, I don't know what the right word is, envious? It's like, you can see someone getting the entire wave of something that you've been waiting for like a year.
Yeah.
Within like a month or two, but you have to wait an extra 6, sometimes more months for the same thing. So you're always behind.
Yeah.
Which should be a normal distribution to everyone. And
well, that's always been the case with Hasbro, though. I think at least now you do. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but back when I was collecting, say, the Unicron trilogy stuff or RID, there was stuff that just wouldn't get released here. It would just be, oh no, that's not coming out in the UK. Tough. But why? So it wasn't just waiting for it; it was wondering whether it's actually going to come out.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's the pre-order is there. It exists. It should be.
Oh, well, this was pre-pre-orders.
Okay. Well.
No one was pre-ordering Hasbro stuff because you were expected to go to Toys R Us to buy it, or you'd have to wait for it to go live on the. I remember waiting for Masterpiece Soundwave, the Hasbro version of Masterpiece Soundwave, waiting for that to go live on the Toys R Us website in order to buy it. You couldn't pre-order it on the Toys R Us website. You had to wait until the day it was released and then hit buy.
Toys R Us didn't even have the best website.
No, it's a terrible website.
Oh dear.
Essentially, Hasbro are an American company and they're primarily concerned with selling toys to Americans.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, it's also kind of like how people are kind of frustrated with like Takara releases or Masterpiece coming out simultaneously. It's like, well, it's not for us. So...
Well, that's different, isn't it? I mean, Hasbro do exist in the UK and are meant to, but I think that they consider the UK and Europe as more of a secondary market these days. They were pretty fantastic during the 80s. We got stuff in the 80s that they didn't even get in America.
See?
It was the early 90s, really. The Transformers toy line, which would later be referred to as Generation 1, or G1, was cancelled in the US in 1990. In Europe, however, the line continued with classics reissues of early 84 to 87 figures, and later new European exclusive figures, including an extension to the Action Masters subgroup, and brand new ones such as Turbo Masters and Predators. But for some reason now, it's very much, concentrate on their main market, the US, and then they'll just throw us scraps, as it were. I mean, at least with Takara, they've got that excuse. We're not supposed to be buying their stuff.
My optics! That's another thing you learn as well, isn't it? Like, which retailers to go with, depending on...
Who to trust.
Who to trust.
Yeah, who provides good customer service and who doesn't. Because, I've had a few issues with customer service from... I'm not going to name them here, but a few retailers that make me now put them towards the bottom of the list if I'm looking for something.
Yeah.
And I'll go to my trusted ones, my favourite ones first, and then kind of move down. And of course, it's price as well. Obviously, some places are cheaper than others.
That's also a thing. It's difficult. There's an amount of things that you play into before you make a purchase, especially when you know it's an option on other places. But when there is no other option, and it's like, well, it's either this or I don't get it at all. It's that type of little conversations you've got to have with yourself. Yeah,
absolutely. And with it all being kind of pre-ordering, you've got plenty of time to regret it after you've hit buy, as it were. And I mean, I was going to say, so There's all the different types of pre-ordering as well. There's ones where you pay up front. There's ones where you pay a deposit. There's ones where you pay nothing until it's actually released. And they all have different levels of risk that you've got to consider. Like, if you're paying up front, that's it, really. That's money spent, and you've got to wait. And it's lovely when it turns up because you haven't got to pay for it because you paid for it months ago. But at the same time, you're like, well, if I want that money back, if I want to cancel that pre-order, it's going to be a bit of a ball ache. Whereas other places, you can just click a button and it's cancelled.
It's true, because that also does depend as well. Like, certain places don't let you cancel and get a full refund unless it's under certain circumstances, and then you only get a percentage back, or you might not get the deposit back. Or there's so many different rules.
Yeah, and again, that's another consideration when you're choosing who you go with. One of the things about pre-ordering is it kind of takes some of the thrill of the hunt out of it, really. It's like, that's locked in, that's coming, great, I'll just wait for it now.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. You still could be waiting for a long time.
What I mean is that you know you're getting it, you know. It's not kind of like, oh, I really need to, I hope I can find this figure. You know you're getting it. You're like, it's the moment its pre-order goes up, you've hit pre-order, it's coming. But there's another thing, though, pre-ordering to avoid missing out, or the fear of missing out. Did you do an awful lot of that?
Yeah, all the time. It's mostly, I find it more with mainline stuff, if anything. It's such a question mark, because during the last trilogy, the Prime Wars trilogy, there was a time where stuff was selling out, like the Combiner Wars and Titans Returns, but they would always pop up in other actual stores a lot later, like your B&M, your TK Maxx. They would, like, a leader 6-shot, which was 50 something pounds at retail, showed up in B&M for like £15. Or the major box sets they had during the time showed up at stuff like Home Bargains for like 20 quid. With like 5 different figures in it. So there was this time frame where there was a lot of things you could have possibly missed out on, but there was still a chance to get it later on, and definitely at a cheaper price. That's gone.
Yeah.
That's not longer happening.
In a way, though, isn't that better because you're not having to gamble in that way? You know if you want it, you need to pre-order it. You're not thinking, oh, hold off on that because I think that one might turn up, because you don't know what's going to turn up in the.
You don't, but I mean, it's a weird type of battle you've got to have with yourself, because you're just like, well, if you at first you don't even think that this should be worth the price at retail it is for this character versus where you want that character in your collection, and you know there's a good chance this might turn up in a place later on. Like, I think recently Siege toys have been popping up at TK Maxx for like a tenner each.
Really?
Like deluxes. And that's, when did Siege come out? Like 2-3 years ago now. It's We would have been waiting for so long for that gamble.
Yeah, but I suppose that's more of a kind of impulse buy, isn't it, when those kind of things turn up? Because, I mean, they're there for mums to pick up for their kids while they're shopping for socks and pants and so on or whatever, aren't they, really? I mean, I picked up a few figures from TK Maxx that I passed on previously, but because they were so cheap, I was like, yeah, I'm going to give this a go. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I got Energon and Mega Supreme from TK Maxx.
Wow.
I think so. I might be misremembering, but I think I did.
No, that sounds like a thing that I just randomly would be in TK Maxx.
Yeah, I've made a few kind of impulse buys in those kind of places. It's stuff that you maybe wouldn't have bought, but you're like, well, this is only a tenner or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
I'll give this a go. Anyway, talking of pre-orders, I warned you, I was going to ask you, what do you currently have on pre-order? Now, you might just need to generalise here, because I know I think you said you have loads on pre-order.
I do have a load, and I actually did make a list. It's actually quite a long list, but I will just shout out the companies, not necessarily what I've got. So I've got stuff from Figma, Nendoroid, Marvel Legends, DC Multiverse, Sentinel, Mafex, Transformers Mainline, SH Figure Arts, Power Rangers, NECA, The Loyal Subjects, and I think that's it. And I actually went through and counted up how many pre-orders I have at the moment. And You would like to take a guess?
Oh, God. I'm going to say 40.
Very close.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that's an insane amount, in my opinion, but I thought it would be quite large.
Oh, I missed out Flame Toys. Yeah, Flame Toys.
Oh, yeah.
51.
51?
51.
So, and how do you manage all this? Like, do you know when they're coming?
Yeah, like, well now, I mean, it's such a high amount, I have to be aware of when a deposit is due or a balance is due.
Mm-hmm.
So I do make notes and plan for each one's arrival, and then readjust when Mayfex is delayed.
Mayfex is like it's an absolute lottery when those are dropping. There's no way of knowing. But I'm the same. I mean, I've got a calendar on my phone, and I have every pre-order, you know, when it actually comes out, marked on my calendar, so I know when things are coming. Although, again, those do get moved regularly, especially the dreaded Mayfex. But yeah, that's a lot, though.
It's a lot.
So you must be getting stuff kind of dropping every other week or so.
I do. It's me and the postman have a good laugh about it every time he turns up.
Well, it's like those. You've got how do I pronounce it? Is it Nendoroid?
Nendoroids, yeah.
You seem to get one of those every other day.
Yeah. It's looking through all my pre-orders, I realise how many of those I have, and how much is it's kind of exploded.
Well, just seriously, listeners, just take a look at Virtual Dave's Instagram, and the number of boxes of Nendoroids that seem to be flying into his house. It's ridiculous. So that's 50 or so. That's a lot. I think I've got. Well, I can tell you, I have quite a few Mayfex figures, probably about 5 or 6. Sentinel figure, same one as you, Sentinel Miles. MP Starscream, MP Skids and MP Reboost, Flame Toys Primal, Flame Toys Rodimus, Magic Square Metallic Light of Freedom, or Optimus Prime, and Classified Flint, who have already sold to someone, but it hasn't been sent to me yet.
All right.
But some of those are speculative as well. Like, for instance, I've pre-ordered Masterpiece Starscream because I need a Starscream from Masterpiece display, but I'm still not 100% convinced I want it. But I'm like, no, I'll pre-order it now and get it cheap, and then if I don't want it, I can sell it on. And that Magic Square Optimus Prime, I've already got the original Magic Square Optimus Prime, but I quite like the idea of the metallic version, and apparently there's going to be a few improvements made. We're not sure what they are, but if I get that and I prefer it to the one I've got on my shelf, I'll swap them.
Swap it out.
Yeah, and that Flames Toys figure, I just want to try it out, see if I like it. It's pretty expensive. In a way, I hope I don't like it, because otherwise I might be in for more then.
Yeah, I mean, the one I've ordered is the Wingblade. And it's mostly because of the whole model kit aspect of it, like, because I know that you built the Prime and the Megatron IDW versions of them, and ever since my recent dabble into model kits, I'm all kind of up for it more and more.
Yeah. Well, they're really nice model kits. I really enjoy building them. That Flame Toys Rodimus is a model kit as well. So I'll be building that. I really like the IDW comics, especially the More Than Meets the Eye, Lost Light storyline. As long as they keep putting out models of characters from that, I'll keep buying them, because they're just really, really nice. And again, kind of talked about this in the previous podcast. For anyone listening, our previous podcast, which goes live very soon, we're recording on the day it goes live, about alt modes, we were talking about non-transforming figures. And these are non-transforming, but in those IDW comics, those characters rarely transformed anyway. So it's nice. I'm perfectly fine with them not transforming. And they look so spot on. Megatron is glorious, really lovely.
But yeah, no, it's a lot. It's a lot of pre-orders.
It is. I mean, like I say, if I count up mine, I think I have about maybe 15, and that feels like too many for me.
Well, I have to take into consideration, or if not everything on that list is a pre-order, some of it is stuff that's actually coming, or it's stuff that will definitely not be coming this year. I can almost guarantee the Mafex ones.
Oh yeah, a few of those are going to be pushed through to next year, I'm sure.
Yeah. Will we get Spider-Gwen before the end of the year? Who knows?
I mean, it would be nice, wouldn't it? But yeah, I'm not holding my breath. As far as Mafex is concerned, we'll get them when we get them.
Yeah.
They keep pushing out those reveals, but then and the pre-orders come up, and you pre-order, and then
it took ages for Miles and Peter to come out, didn't it? It's almost like over a year.
Miles in particular, I think Miles went up for pre-order before Peter.
Yeah.
And it was just like, when the hell is this Miles coming out? Is it even coming out?
You getting all the notifications from Amazon or whoever. It's like, yeah, it's been delayed.
Delayed another month, and another. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what the reasoning for that is, but they need to sort that out, because it gets a bit tiresome. Because by the time you get this stuff, sometimes you've I'm not interested in it anymore. I've completely changed what I collect, and now this is turning up, and I'm like, this would have suited me 6 months ago, but not anymore. I've moved on.
Yeah.
The other thing with pre-orders is you can get cold feet and cancel them, especially if they take a long time to come out. Sometimes I'll put a pre-order in just to be on the safe side, and then a few months later, I might think, actually, I don't want that, and just cancel it. I've done it a fair few times.
I did it today, actually.
Yeah, so you can kind of just jump in and out with that kind of stuff, which is quite useful. Whereas, that never used to, you just have to buy the stuff and then make your decision. That's what the aftermarket's for, though, selling on stuff. I sell a lot of stuff on, and it's pretty easy to do, especially with the various communities on forums and Facebook and so on. eBay's the last place I go to do it because of all the fees you have to pay. But, it's easy to move this stuff on. There's plenty of people out there who want what you've got.
Oh, yeah, especially with stuff like PayPal and stuff like that. So it's more of a secure way of transferring money as well.
Absolutely. Do you buy a lot of stuff from the aftermarket? Do you buy a lot of second-hand stuff?
Not as much as I used to. When I first started shopping online, it was mostly during eBay. So it would just primarily be second-hand stuff, and that wouldn't have bothered me. I think these days, it's always not such a guarantee that you'll get the thing in the aftermarket.
Yeah.
Especially mainline stuff, because the only time something really goes on aftermarket is either someone scalped it and then it's a ridiculous price, or a better version has come out and then it's on the market and it's like, well, I don't want this anymore either.
You want the better version. Yeah. I used to buy loads of stuff, loads of aftermarket stuff. I used to buy lots of either vintage stuff or stuff that I just couldn't find in my local area through forums and eBay and so on. And, you'd be on a forum and they'd be saying, I found a pick random toy. I found Energon Sideways. And you'd be like, they've got it in Toys R Us Macclesfield. And it'd be like, does anyone want me to pick them one up? And then you'd be like, yeah, me, yeah. And then they'd send it to you. There's a lot of that because you couldn't be sure whether it's going to turn up in your local shop.
Yeah. I've had to do that a couple of times, and it's felt so weird to ask someone to do that for me.
Yeah.
Especially someone I don't know. But yeah, it can be the only way you get it sometimes.
Yeah, and I did it for other people as well. I'd be there. I don't think I had a smartphone at the time, so it would literally be get home, fire up the computer. Just been down to my local toy master, and they've got blah 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 blah. In fact, I think the website that I was using at the time actually set up a sightings reporting system. You could go in there and you could say, tell them what store you've been to and what was there and how many. So just to help people out, help people get hold of stuff. And I did use that sometimes to find things because it's it's not in the usual places. Sometimes I would get in the car and drive to another town or city because I knew or I'd heard that they had that there. Yeah,
it's something that I do try and do whenever I go to a proper shop like Forbidden Planet in London, or even Orbital Comics when they used to have the odd figure in there, and just like, look, guys, this is what's available, and put it on some Facebook groups of people who would be able to get there.
Yeah.
In time. Yeah, it's a good thing that most people do, and let's let you know, and don't go the other way and like buy everything in the shop.
Well, yeah, that's out of order, isn't it? Really, there's an unwritten rule that you don't. I mean, obviously people do this, but most people are sound enough not to be arseholes in that respect.
Well, I mean, it's a very gamble type of play anyway.
Oh, as you know, I was in Forbidden Planet yesterday, and they had about 6 or 7 G.I. Joe classified Major Bloods, and they've been quite difficult to get hold of. I've noticed that they've gone up on Hasbro Pulse now, though, so maybe they're releasing a bunch more stock or something. But, like, I don't know what they would have said if I'd gone to the counter with all 6, but I could have done that. I wouldn't, but I could have done that, and then I could have stuck them on eBay and sold them for twice the price. That's
true, actually. I didn't point that out before. There, some shops do actually have a limit on how much you can buy.
But they should do.
Or particular items. Yeah, they actually do sometimes.
Yeah. And you see it a lot on the online stores as well, like limiting one per customer kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's that, and then there's kind of as with the Major Blood, I almost impulse bought him because he's rare, and I was still slightly umming and ahhing about whether I'd given up G.I. Joe Classics or not. But then I thought, I don't actually like this character. He doesn't have I don't have any connection to him. Basically, I went to my rules. I went to my rules and said, do I actually care about this figure that much? Is it just because he's hard to get hold of that I want to buy him, because I know that if I put him down, he won't be here next time? Is it just that reason? And I thought, it is that reason.
See, like, I can't have much of an objective opinion on G.I. Joe because I don't know the characters a lot at all. But as far as I'm saying, he's not a major player in the world of G.I. Joe, right?
I think he is. He's just one that I kind of passed on. Because, I mean, this is the thing, another thing about G.I. Joe is that I have a lot of nostalgia for it, but I'm not nearly as into it as I was, say, Transformers or Batman or Spider-Man or whatever. Like, I read quite a bit of the comics, but not all of it, and I don't really remember Major Blood. I'm sure he was important, but for me, he's just a character that I just know about. I know he's there, but he's not one that jumps out at me. So I was just thinking, I don't really know who this guy is. He looks pretty cool. He's got a robotic arm. That's nice. But I thought, I'm just... Because I walked around the shop with it in my hand while I thought about it. And I just thought, no, I don't actually need this. And I've already decided I'm selling all my G.I. Joe Classified. So why the hell would I buy this? But it was just that kind of fear of missing out. If I don't buy it now, I'm not going to be able to get it. If I change my mind, if I walk out of this shop and go, actually, I'm going to keep my Classified, I'm going to have to run back here and pick it up. But I decided, no, this is the test. If I can put this down and walk out of here and feel fine about it, then I know that I'm happy to quit the line altogether. And I did, and I was.
Yeah, I was very shocked, to be honest, because you did message me about it, and I was like, why? Why did you leave without it? What's going on?
Sometimes it's better just to walk away. And for me, it felt good that I'd done so. So I knew that I made the right decision when I left the shop. And I also thought about, if I left the shop with it, I would probably have regretted that I'd bought it. I'd probably be thinking, why did I do that? You do shop in toy stores from time to time. Do you get anything like that? Have you ever picked stuff up that maybe you shouldn't have done, or taken advantage of deals that maybe you shouldn't have done?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, I don't do it much anymore because I don't go into shops that often now. But it's yeah, I have done it in the past, and it's mostly been by I want to say outside influence, because I think I have those type of moments that you had, and I will pick it up, I'll have it in hand, walk around for a bit, and I'll start to contemplate to myself, do I even want this? And whoever's with me, it's kind of like, well, you do collect this. you.
Never ask another collector, because their answer will be, buy it,
They're
do
not
it.
even collectors. They're just friends or family. Just be like, well, this is the stuff that you buy. I mean, if you miss it now, it's not going to be here later. But yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've had those type of moments more times than I'd like to admit, to be honest. But it doesn't happen that much anymore. If I have a figure now, it's because I do really want it on some level, rather than just adding it to the collection.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing with buying in physical shops is it's more finite. You're there at that particular time. That figure's there right now. It might not be here tomorrow, and it's harder to pass things up than maybe you would online, because it's like, I can just go to that website tomorrow and buy it. As long as it's not something that's like limited edition or, difficult to, one of those things that disappear, pre-orders disappear in seconds, fans' toys or whatever, that kind of stuff. But if it's just something that you think, I'm considering this, but I don't have to buy it right now. I can buy it whenever I'm ready.
Yeah.
I suppose the yin to the yang of that, for me anyway, is buying things out of just a need to have a new toy. You get that itch.
Yeah.
Oh, I really just want something new, and nothing I really like has come out for a while, but maybe I'll just give this a go. And that's a lot easier to do online.
Yeah, especially if it's
that and drunk purchasing.
Luckily, I don't do that. That'd be a lot worse than it really is.
I don't do it very often, but I have from time to time just been a little bit tipsy and just gone, yeah, why not? And the next morning I'm like, oh, did I? Oh,
I ordered a HasLab unicorn by accident. Oh no.
That's the kind of thing you might do, actually, to be honest. It's the kind of thing you might do. Because no sober person is going to pay that much for a toy.
Well,
of course they are, but you get my point.
I think I've not really done that. It's more. I think these days it's more. I'm starting to get really influenced by YouTubers and who they buy stuff from, and because this turns into like KOs for me, because I'm fully fledged KO collector when it's applicable and when it's the right thing. But I'm a fine comb, find out everything about the possible pluses and minuses of the KO before I attempt to buy it and where to get it from. So if I was going to look for a KO of a Mafex figure, because one, the aftermarket price might be ridiculous, or it might not even be on the aftermarket. It's like, it's just gone.
Sure.
So this is the only other option if I want this representation, and then look at where the best place to get it and for the best price, because you could just as easily think you're buying the legit version and get a KO if you know the KO exists. So it's that type of stuff is probably the only thing I really have to do my research on and make sure that
absolutely.
if I'm buying a KO, it's on my say so. I'm not getting duped into one.
Yeah, because with KOs, it's a minefield. I mean, that's why I tend to stay away from them, because there's the ethical issues, which I do think it's bad and wrong, but I'm not adverse to buying the occasional KO, especially if it's something that maybe I missed out on before, or I want to make a custom or something. I bought KO Masterpiece Ratchet so that I could paint it up in the Marvel colours. Now, I wouldn't have done that with an official one, because it's too expensive a toy to possibly mess up painting. So I was like, well, it's 30 quid for this KO. I've heard that they're not bad. These KOs are all right. They're not perfect. They're not as good as the official, but sat on the shelf to look at it, it looks pretty much the same as the official. So I don't mind doing that. And then there's been the occasional KO that's just better than the actual official. And I've been particularly annoyed with the official for some particular reason. And I've gone, right, well, I'm going to sell this official one. I'm going to buy the KO because this official one is garbage and the KO's better.
Well, that is also the other thing. Like, the KOs have gotten a lot better than those, random multicolored ones you get in a discount shop. This is they have really stepped up their game. So it's
there's such thing as an upgrade KO, really, isn't there? Like, they actually fix the issues that the various issues that we had with the official. So I'm much more on board with them. I think straight up KOs, it is just stealing.
I think the most, well, from what I know of anyway, that the most reason why people do are in favour of them is because of the part swapping. Like, unless it's something ridiculously out of scale, say if wrist break or an arm joint is not going to get replaced by the official company, you could get the joint of a part to swap it out.
Yeah, which I have done. Yeah.
Yeah. Stuff like that.
I'm looking at you, Mayfex. I did that.
I didn't want to name any names.
I did that. No, I'm calling you out, Mayfex. The wrist joints on your Spider-Man figures are garbage. Yes, I did buy a KO Spider-Man because I've broken the wrists on that Spider-Man twice. First time, it was straight out of the box and the retailer was kind enough to replace it. Mm-hmm. And the second time, it was well after I bought it, and I was like, this is really infuriating. So I tracked down a KO and just bought the KO and took the joint out and used the joint off the KO. But yeah, I mean, I think that's fair game, I think. My optics! I think you mentioned you wanted to talk about the well-known phrase, things that people post online all the time.
Oh, yes.
Wait for the KO.
Wait for the KO. Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about waiting for the KO?
I think it depends on what you're talking about. Like, if we say solely Transformers, they normally only really KO Masterpiece. They do KO the odd mainline figure, but they normally scale it up, or they add extra paint or die cast or something. They change it up a bit.
Yeah.
But for an MP, it's normally a straight knockoff most of the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes, yes, I think you should. Because
do you? Okay.
I'm on the fence with a lot of the official masterpieces that I have and that I've paid for, and thought, well, is it worth this price when I could have got it for so much cheaper to have the same impact on what I want?
Yeah, but the argument...
As an individual, I don't know if it's... Is the insignia on the chest worth an extra £200?
Well, this is an argument that is flawed. Because, yes, I agree. I can totally understand. You go, they really want me to pay how much for that? And then the KO is going to be a fraction of the price. Mm-hmm. These days, you can pretty much guarantee, especially G1 MPs, you can pretty much guarantee someone's going to KO it. Mm-hmm. Not everyone, but most of them. Especially, the cars are almost always KO'd. So you kind of know, and that's where you get the term "wait." I'll wait for the KO. And there's so many smart asses on. All right, I'm just going to come straight into this thread about the brand new MP Hound or Sunstreaker or I don't know, whatever it is, Starscream, and they'll just post, "I'll wait for the KO." Oh, did you need to tell us? But the thing is that one of the reasons why, I mean, it's not the only reason why those toys are so expensive, but another reason why those toys are so expensive is because of KOs. Because they know that they're going to get KO'd. Mm-hmm. So they need to make sure they sell enough units to cover the costs.
Oh, I see.
And make enough money.
Right.
And they know that for every one person who buys the official, 6 are going to buy a KO or whatever. So the more KOs you buy, the more expensive Masterpiece will get. So in a way, you're pushing the price of Masterpiece up by buying the KO.
I guess. I mean, it's probably worse in the MP world, or G1 MP world, because third party is so relevant and it's so I think it's kind of superseded the official Masterpiece in the G1.
For some people,
it
depends what your collection goals are there.
Yeah, I mean,
if your goal is to kind of like complete G1, then yes, you definitely need to go to third parties.
But I think that's because that's also there as well as the KO. If you know what I mean, like it's you're not just losing so many people to the KO, you're also losing people to all the other.
You're losing people to third parties, KOs to third parties. Yeah, like there's a lot of people who prefer fans' toys over official, or MMC over official, or whatever it might be. And, those toys are pretty great. So, yeah, if you've got Takara putting out their... Let's think of a good example.
MP44.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's the best example.
It is the best example. They put out their brand new third version of Optimus Prime. Comes out. He's really expensive. Well, comes out. He's announced, and he's really expensive. And he looks great, but there are some issues that some people have with him. I wasn't a big fan, but if you're into that cartoon aesthetic, he totally ticks all those boxes. And everyone's like, oh, but the price is. And along come Transform Element and Magic Square with stuff that's under £100. It's very tempting. Very tempting.
And it's also because of the old, the higher price point figures, the more accessories and other bits and bobs and minifigs and knickknacks they get thrown in to kind of justify the price.
Yeah.
Or kind of make it more okay in your mind.
Takara have got really bad for that of late. Really bad for it.
I mean, say MP44 in particular, he came with
everything.
Everything, but he came with a thing for that one episode look where Starscream was pretending to be Prime.
That one thing from that one episode that no one remembers.
That one thing from that one episode. Yeah, it's a cool thing. I mean...
But who wanted that? No one ever asked for that.
Honestly, hand on heart. Who has that figure and is displaying it like that?
No one.
You've taken the one picture and then it's gone back in the box.
Yeah. It's pointless. I hate those. I really do. I really don't like needless accessories. And I don't think they bump the price up, but I think they use as an excuse. Because they cost a tiny amount to produce, probably. But if you can go, well, this Optimus Prime may be £500. Or, no, it's 250, wasn't it?
Which
MP44. I think it was about 250.
It was free something here, 450.
It depends where you bought it.
Yeah, it depends where you got it.
Fact check. Orion Ghia is a bit anal and has a chip on his shoulder about MP prices. Takara Tomy set the recommended retail price of MP44 Convoy version 3 at 50,000 yen. That is £325 in sterling. And looking back, it was closer to £350 at the time. However, if you shopped around and went to some Japanese online retailers, you could pick one up for around £250. Bargain. But anyway, very expensive. But they're like, well, it might be the most expensive MP yet, but look what it comes with. It's got a trailer, it's got a roller, it's got a little spike, it's got a Starscream dress-up kit, and that kind of does entice some people, I think. Because some people will not buy a Prime unless it has a trailer. That's a big deal for some people.
Yeah, but those people... See, I can't... See, I don't get that type of mentality when you're not going to display it in vehicle mode. And it's the robot mode that takes, precedence, especially in a Prime. And especially, that's probably the highlight of that figure anyway. The vehicle mode is a bit ropey. It's very panelly. It's not the best. So it's the robot mode is what's shining.
I don't know if everyone would agree with you on that.
I mean, okay, so like a Prime in particular, I would struggle to believe it because a Prime, especially an MP Prime with trailer, takes up a lot of space, and it takes up a lot of space to make it look good on a display versus an MP car, or you could get a jet looking a nice way. But having the trailer attached to the Prime in a good display is big. That's a lot of space.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you. I'm not a fan of trailers with my Primes. Because it's just a box. It's just got this box and you've got to find somewhere to put it. And I'd rather just not have it. But that's the thing. I think you're right, but I think not everyone sees things the same way. Not everybody some people do actually like displaying stuff in alt mode. It's a much smaller percentage of people. But,
that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, but it's and there are plenty of people who think that the trailer is essential.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It is. I have Prime on display in vehicle mode, but I have the Earthrise Prime in display because he is so much smaller, and looks great in vehicle mode. So I would do it. I would do it in a smaller version. Is what I mean.
Yeah, but some people just collect Masterpiece.
Yeah, true. If anything, it comes down to that whole thing of like which mode is more important to you in your display. So it's very individual. People's view on it would be because not everyone's going to have the same type of display space or.
Yeah, I think we're going slightly off track now. Anyway, so
I think that's for the next episode, isn't it? That's for the next. Part 3, isn't it? Displays?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, displaying and so on. But with the whole kind of wait for a KO thing, I think, in my opinion, if you like a toy enough that you want it, you should buy the official. You should buy the real thing. If you like a figure, when it gets announced, you see it, you think, that looks great, but it's pretty expensive. You should decide then and there whether you think you want to buy it, or you want to wait for it to come out maybe, and see if it's got any QC issues. Then you might maybe look at a KO. But just to immediately go, I'm just going to buy KOs of everything. If you never buy an official figure, they'll stop making them.
Yeah, well, I see. That's my type of the way I look at it for my collection is that it's hand picking it, and it's very much, I can't get that, or the official of that's not good. So you kind of pick and choose type of thing, like how I have the KO version of Beast Wars Megatron and Beast Wars Dinobot, the MPs.
Which are, I mean, that Dinobot is shocking.
Oh, but this is the other thing. I'm never going to transform those. They will pose just as nice as where they are. I don't need to touch them. But I couldn't justify the same type of mentality for the price tag of the officials. It's so dependent on the character for me of what I want the figure to do. Because if I wanted something to go back and forth, I would want the official, because I know it will survive.
Yeah.
But if I want something in this mode or that, I don't need any more, because I'll be paying for a whole other side of the toy I'll never do or never use. So it would be ridiculous.
Well, yeah. We discussed this on the last podcast too. You're not transforming things. But I can see where you're coming from. But I think it's also a fair bit to do with the fact that you buy a lot more than I do. So possibly for you, dropping just over 200 quid on Beast Wars Masterpiece Megatron, that's a huge chunk of money when you're already spending 50 quid on the Earthrise one and 40 quid on this. And that's actually, I mean, I was saying this yesterday. I think those Earthrise toys are very, very expensive for what they are.
I wouldn't disagree with you for most of them, yeah.
And if you're buying them all, because I know you're not buying them all, but you're buying a lot of them. You're pre-ordering like almost entire waves here and there, aren't you? And so if you're buying an entire wave of Earthrise, that's a few hundred quid, isn't it? So I imagine on top of that, spending Masterpiece prices on one figure feels like a lot of, like, it feels like less value for money.
Yeah, it's okay with certain things, but when it comes to Transformers, that definitely does play a part, because, I mean, I don't really buy a lot of Marvel Legends, but if I did, I guess it would be kind of the similar things when I'm thinking about buying certain Mafex characters. It's like...
Yeah, or Figure or
anything like that, where I know there's a comparable version of the same type of scale, like even Power Rangers, for example. It's not the same, and it's not what I'd be getting out of it. And then sometimes I was like, do I need it? Is these SH Figure Arts better than the main line? Is it really? Or is it just because it's SH Figure Arts This is
where me and you have the opposite opinion, because I would rather pay 100 quid for a really nice figure than 100 quid for 4 or 5 not quite so nice figures. I would rather buy MP Dinobot than buy the entire first wave of Kingdom Beast Wars figures.
Right.
Because MP Dinobot is a beautiful figure, a brilliant figure, a wonderful representation of a great character from a great show, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with it.
Except for his sword, but yeah.
His sword's fine. What's wrong with his sword? Well, because it's pink.
It's show accurate to a fault for that one scene.
Well, I agree. It shouldn't be pink, but it's not as bright pink as you might... Oh, anyway...
I'm just joking.
The Kingdom one looks like a penis.
I knew you were going to say that.
At least this one looks like the sword from the show. That Kingdom one's terrible. But yeah, it's the same with 6-inch stuff, like those G.I. Joe figures, Marvel Legends. I would still rather spend 60, 70 quid on a Mafex figure than buy any of those. But, you know, like, I could afford... How many £20 figures could I afford? Like 3 or 4?
Mm-hmm.
I'd still rather have that one really nice figure than those 4 okay figures.
But that's why I think that's why we differ on it. It's like it's not, that doesn't apply to everything for me. It does apply for some things. Like there are some things where I'm like, well, that is the best. Like the Mafex or the Sentinel Miles. Mm-hmm. I picked those instead of the mainline one.
Yeah. Because
it was the better option for that particular character and what I wanted for it. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't apply for every character.
No, but I think that's because you collect a lot more stuff. My collection's a lot more small and curated, if you know what I mean. Whereas you've got a lot more stuff on your shelves. I used to collect like you do, but I can't do it anymore, and I don't want the hassle of all that stuff. But you do you.
Don't worry, when I have my epiphany and I start selling my stuff, I'll come to you and get...
Well, I won't be buying any of it.
No, I'll come to you as a wise guru to figure out what I'm going to do with it all.
So we're talking toy hunting. Have you got any kind of good stories of times where you've hunted something down? Like a grail of some sort?
Not really. Amazing stories. I mean, there's a couple of grails I had when I was younger, like Optimal Optimus, that I somehow convinced my parents to buy off eBay, or Leo Convoy, or Lio Convoy.
Yeah.
I don't know why I love that figure, that design so much, but for years I really wanted the original release of him, and it was so hard to get. And I think I even got the Robot Masters one before I got the actual first release.
The Beast Wars 2 version. Beast Wars 2nd version.
Beast Wars 2nd version, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the powered up version of it, I kept seeing floating about on eBay. I was like, yeah, but it's not the one I want. It's
Flash Convoy.
Flash Convoy.
Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, it's cool. It's sparkly and kind of see-through, but I want that one.
Yeah.
It took a while, but I did eventually get him and Galvatron. From the same series, and they're probably like one of the proper grails I had for a long time, because I really wanted that figure for a long internet hunting like type of time. I would always be checking.
Yeah.
But if anything more recently, it's probably been like just random figures I've stumbled across, like but I don't think that doesn't really count as a grail. It's just things that I thought looked cool, or stuff from my childhood that I thought was cool, but I never got a figure of, or maybe I have some sort of weird nostalgia for a figure I did have, which I broke or got broken. I was like, well, it'd be nice to get the update to this now with all the new paint and engineering.
Yeah.
And that does happen now here and there. Recently I got Evolution's Toys Matilda, which is the main character in VR Troopers.
Okay.
The kind of knockoff version of Power Rangers. Well, it's by Saban. It's the same company, but
yeah,
it was their second attempt to do that. And I randomly, I was looking for another toy, and I noticed someone else's review of it, and straight from there I was like, I'm buying this.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that a few times, yeah.
I did not know I needed this in my life, but I need it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does happen. You just chance across something, or you just go, you know what? I'd really like a toy of this particular comic book character or whatever. I wonder what ones there are. And you start researching online, and you come across so much stuff. And then all of a sudden you're neck deep in a line somewhere, like going buying tons of stuff because you just wanted that one figure. I think I told you about how I got hold of Kobe Rambo by getting hold of that 2-pack. I think it's called the Sonic Bomber 2-pack or whatever.
I still can't believe you sold that.
There's been a few times where I've been after a particular figure and it's been really difficult to get hold of. For example, Air Attack Optimus Primal from Robots in Disguise. I wanted that so bad. I remember seeing it in Woolworths when it was out. And at the time, I wasn't into Transformers. And I was just like, what the hell's that? It's a ridiculous great big monkey. And then I got into Transformers and I watched Beast Machines and I really liked it. And I was like, I really need that toy now because it's the best representation of Primal from that series. I need to get hold of one, and I couldn't find one anywhere. And I had to trawl through eBay for ages. No one was selling them. Unpopular figure, unpopular character. Probably didn't make that many. Mm-hmm. You know, the things that just disappeared slowly, and no one cared.
He was in a line that he wasn't in, so it was...
Yeah, like they did with a lot of Robots in Disguise. They just slapped out some stuff and went, we'll just stick this in the line. Why not? Don't matter. So I was trawling through eBay trying to find it, and I eventually found a seller in America. And I have no idea why he'd done this, but he'd bundled it together with the US version of MP1.
Okay.
Both of them in the same auction. And I already had MP1. I had the Japanese one, the original Takara release. So I already had that. But I was so desperate to get this Optimus Primal that I bid on and won this auction and had to pay the shipping from America for these 2 pretty big heavy toys.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, yeah.
And I got stung for customs.
Ooh.
So I had to drive out to the middle of nowhere to some depot and pay a customs fee and pick it up. So I spent way more than that figure was really worth. And I sold the spare Masterpiece Prime off and made a bit of money back that way. But it didn't matter because I got that figure. I could tick that figure off and I've got it. Now, fast forward about 15 years and its leg exploded and it's now in bits. But I had that on the shelf for so many years and I loved it. And I got my money's worth out of it, even if it cost too much. And that's an example of kind of like some serious toy hunting, I think.
Yeah, I think that does play a part in it. It's because it's when there's I'm trying to think of another one that's probably I would call it Primus from Cybertron.
Oh, yeah.
Having a physical representation of Cybertron and then liking the show as well. It was a toy I was hunting for a long time and getting it to complete it because you kind of needed
a Megalock. A Megalock, yeah.
Yeah, to actually transform it, unless you wanted to put a biro in there or something to get the things to unlock.
I hate those things. It's like the Power Masters.
Oh yeah, you can't transform it otherwise.
I don't like it. I've got bad stories. But go on.
I couldn't find that complete for the longest time.
Yeah.
And it was quite a...
You should have bought it off me.
Well, yeah.
You should have bought it off me.
There's a lot of things I would like to bought off you. They had... I can't remember when it was. They did a redo of it with Unicron, and they had different colours.
Did they? Okay. I wasn't aware of that.
Unicron was made to look more like the movie.
Yes, I remember that. They did. Yeah, they made one that looked far more like the movie Unicron. But I didn't know they did a Primus as well, because Primus doesn't turn into a robot that anyone's seen before. Like, he's a completely original design. He's not. There's no nostalgia there like there is with the Unicron.
It's because I grew up with the Unicron trilogy, so it was like, well, cool, you know. But then because of that sole reason, because it was in the show, and this new deco does not look like the show version, and I was starting to get out of the whole thing of buying the same mold, regardless of which character it's representing. I wanted that one, and it got so hard to find it complete. But I did in the end. I think it probably was on eBay.
Mm.
And it was, I mean, it's still quite a big staple in my collection at the moment. Like, I really, like, a lot of my toys from that era kind of live in boxes, and I only take them out for pictures or now and then. But that toy is still pretty high up on one of my shelves with my Zeta Unicron.
Yeah.
It means quite a lot to my collection having that figure there.
Yeah, I think when you have to do the extra work to get something, you value it more. It feels more special.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You probably value that Primus more just because of what you went through to get hold of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've had that with a few figures. The Japanese version of Super Link Kicker, I really had to track. I can't remember. I think I was just trawling through buy, sell, trade forums, desperately trying to find it because it basically completed my collection. I wanted all the pretty much all the show characters from Super Link or Energon, and that other kicker, the one that came out in the UK and US, that was rubbish.
Oh yes.
When compared with the one that they had in Japan, that was a proper Microman figure and much nicer than the one that came with that little bike.
It came with a bike. I was trying to think, what did it come? It was like a.
It came with a transforming bike.
It was one of the minicons that made. What's his name? Perceptor. It's Perceptor.
Yeah.
They joined to make Perceptor.
Was it oversized?
It was oversized. I don't think it transformed, but it was meant to be.
The same guy.
Yeah.
Actually, it did transform. The robot in question was Highwire. Both this version and the original Minicon transformed into a dirt bike. The Minicon version combined with a moped and a skateboard to form Perceptor. This larger version was actually a new mould and was not just an oversized version of the Minicon. In dirt bike mode, it scaled with the Hasbro version of Kicker, who was more akin to a G.I. Joe than a Microman, but in robot mode, it awkwardly towered over him.
So I remember kind of having to kind of contact this guy and kind of go, have you got it? Can you send it to me? Oh, but I don't mind paying a bit extra for it, that kind of stuff. That felt much more special due to the hunt in order to get hold of it, and the fact that it became like a centerpiece of the collection, not just because it was rare, but just because it was a great little figure. Yeah. And it went so perfectly with my my Ironhide or Roadbuster or whatever. Because I didn't even like Roadbuster as a toy, but he worked with Kicker because of their relationship in the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's been a few things like that where it's just felt like it's an achievement to get that thing that you couldn't, you thought you couldn't get hold of.
It's true, and it does foil to those type of little. It's more the little characters of anything, isn't it? That that fall through the cracks that you can't get a hold of, or is a lot more rare. Yeah.
And tracking down like limited edition Japanese versions of these characters, like I've really got carried away, I think, with Super Link and Energon because I got all of the and Galaxy Force as well, but I got all of the different variants of the Terracons. I love the Terracons. I thought they were fantastic little figures.
Oh, yeah.
But like I had Cruel Lock, Doom Lock, Cruel Lock Magma Type, which is the red one.
Yeah.
And I had the various odd recolors of them from because in Japan they did like what was the bird called?
Dive Bomb.
Is it Dive Bomb? Mm-hmm. So Dive Bomb was white, but there was a Japanese one that was blue. I got that as well. I just went mental, and and I had the Japanese version of Scorponok.
Wow.
He had this army of Terracons, and I loved it. It was brilliant. I had Ravage, Battle Ravage, etc. It was a nice. I really liked that at the time. It's all gone now, but tracking those down was quite a lot of fun. And that's something that's missing now. Unless you're trying to track down like older vintage figures, these days it's not about tracking stuff down because they're hard to get because they're only available in this country or they were an exclusive or whatever. These days it's just you just need to hit that website at the right time and pre-order it.
Yeah, it'll just be on refresh constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when was it? It was a couple of months ago where you were looking for a certain G.I. Joe figure, and I just stumbled on a post on Facebook of Kapow Toys was going to put up some new G.I. Joe figures at a certain time, and it's like, well, if I didn't see it,
Yeah, exactly.
By the time you saw it,
yeah, I mean, no, that
it had all been gone.
That was really helpful. Although, it was. I got hold of the figure, but then the funny thing is that all the other websites started doing the same thing. So, like, I got one from Kapow, and then the next day I got one from Comics and Cocktails. Like, they all started getting stock in. But yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so I think we're going to round this off by talking about opening toys, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Like that, the whole upshot of the hunt is getting the thing in your hands and opening it up, and that joy, that new toy joy that you get. So, talk us through your opening ritual. What do you generally do?
Well, for most of my figures that come in, they come in via the post. So, opening the actual brown box that it would arrive in is always a bit of a joy. It's almost like a Christmas Day type of feel, or pass the parcel or something like that. You're just unwrapping of this packaging. And when you get the actual figure box, I always now take pictures of the box.
Yeah, because you got to get those likes.
Not so much for that. It's kind of it's a twofold thing. It's like, it's also, obviously letting other collectors know that this figure exists and that's what it looks like, but it's also been a good thing for me personally to backtrack and look at the different things I've bought.
That's true. Yeah.
When I've bought it, and if I bought it new or not, because obviously when you get into the numbers I have, you kind of forget.
You need a spreadsheet.
I do need to do a spreadsheet, but at least I'll have pictures for my spreadsheet. Because not a lot of figures, I think, have very good boxes in terms of presentation, or you can reuse it or whatever. A lot of them are pretty just crap boxes, but if you are the type of collector who keeps boxes, sometimes that could be another element of, like, do you take it out of the box? Do you...
Yeah.
Is it better to have all the accessories in the box, or do you take them out into something else and a little baggie, or...
Yeah.
all those other little things.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm pretty much the same. A lot of my stuff comes in... Well, for the longest time, my stuff has come in pretty much exclusively through mail order. Very rare that I buy a figure in an actual shop. It happens from time to time, but it's pretty rare. I open the box. I'll sometimes take a picture of the box. I sometimes won't. I'm not that bothered. Because the stuff I buy is usually more kind of high-end, as opposed to mainline stuff. The boxes are usually quite nice. Not always, but often they're quite nice. And also, they're worth money when you're reselling.
that's another thing. Yeah.
And you know how I'm so fickle that I will change my mind and want to sell it on. So I very rarely throw boxes away, and I am careful to open them carefully. I like to carefully slice the tape and pull out the plastic tray or whatever, and then carefully take everything out. And I usually do that, and then I'll pose the figure a bit, have a good look at it, check it's all there, check it's all working. And then if it's a transformer, depending on how much time I got, I might transform it. Otherwise, it'll go up on a shelf and I'll take it down later and transform it. But I'll pose it a bit, do or don't transform it, or if it's a transformer. And then I'll play about with some of the accessories, maybe, pull them on and off. And then I've got myself a little case that I keep all my accessories in, and I'll bag them all up together and stick them in the box, and then stick them up on the shelf, pose them with the rest of my collection. And then it's quite possible I won't touch it again for another 4 months. But I'll have a good few days with that one figure, playing around with it, and which is why I quite like stuff coming in small amounts, because if I get like 3 or 4 things at the same time, I can't give that dedicated attention to the one thing as much as I would. I think I can't remember what happened with Mathek's Peter B. Parker, but when he came in, I had something else on the go. It might have been a Legends figure or something, but because he came in at the same time as something else, and because he's quite intricate and he's got that cloth coat and all that kind of stuff, I just kind of pushed him to one side. And to this day, I've not really done much with him. I need to get him down off the shelf and pose him a bit and switch out some of the parts and stuff. Currently, he's just stood there in his sweatpants drinking a cup of coffee, and he's been like that the entire time, pretty much, ever since I first got him out, played around with a few of the accessories, and then put them on the shelf. So it's nice to have things just come in one at a time, and we have some good quality time with each one.
Mm-hmm.
But in the old days that I used to get domestic current mainline stuff, I used to always flatten the boxes, throw the boxes out, maybe cut some things out off the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, in the really old days when I was buying in the 80s and the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
I used to cut all the tech specs and file cards off of the back of the boxes, and I used to put them in a folder.
Wow.
If you did that now, people would think you're crazy because you want to keep those boxes minty fresh because they're vintage. They're worth money in themselves. The boxes. Mm-hmm. I mean, people buy empty G1 boxes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I just get the scissors out. There's a little picture. There's a little picture of a scissors around the tech spec. Yeah. So I just chop them up, and I'd keep them like that. But when I was collecting mainline stuff, like say Unicron Trilogy days, anything that was bought domestically, I just flatten that and throw it out.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I thought that there was some particular reason to keep the box, I wouldn't. Whereas I would tend to keep the Japanese boxes just because they were so much nicer.
Mm.
And again, if I did want to sell them, it would probably fetch a bit more if you have the box.
So I did used to keep some of the, even carded figures you can't put back. I did used to keep the cards, and I'm not quite sure why. I did it for quite a few random figures. And it would end up in a box in the cellar or something, and it would just stumble across it now and then, and reminisce and looking at them like, oh yeah, where is that figure?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I do tell a lie. There was a period before I decided, no, why am I keeping all this stuff, and flattened it and got rid of it. There was a period where I was cutting very carefully using a scalpel to cut the blister off the front of a card. So that I didn't damage the card. And I think I just had a realisation one day where I was like, what the hell am I doing? This is a mini-con set from Armada. No one's going to need this card. So I stopped. So do you destroy all your boxes then?
Mostly mainline stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom boxes I have not destroyed. I've just flattened them and put them aside because I love that box art on those Kingdom boxes.
Just like the artwork, yeah.
It's what drew me into the line, really, because I was still pretty much on the fence when it came out until I think you sent me a picture of what the box art looks like. I was like, I'm in.
I mean, the box art's pretty good, but I don't know if I would buy the line just based on the box art.
Oh, I would. I mean, well, because the other Siege and Earthrise has been all of the trilogy box arts have been pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just that I think because the Kingdom one has both modes on the front and this whole more cardboard packaging look, I just it won me over.
Yeah, I do give Hasbro props for using less plastic in the boxes, although I wish they'd do it with all their lines.
Yeah, because the other ones they do.
Well, let's go back to G.I. Joe Classified again. They've got massive windows, so they've not done it. They've not done it across the board yet.
No, they haven't.
But no, their box art is pretty good. I will agree with you on that.
The only other thing that I would do in an opening probably is have my favourite YouTuber of the figure in question, if it's a Transformer, and I think that a part of the transformation is going to be ridiculously difficult, if we're talking Masterpiece or something, or if it's something like Mafex and like if all the bits and bobs need to be there. I do also do that sometimes. I'm just like, this is a guide of the thing I'm opening now.
Yes, I mean, in a way, especially with the higher end stuff, it's sort of essential to do your research before you get the figure.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't realise that there's a particular QC issue or a difficult bit of transformation or something it might easily break, and you just go into it blind and then whatever it is breaks, and then you go, oh, what? And then you go on the forum and you say, guys, I just broke my masterpiece, whatever. And guaranteed, some arsehole is going to go, didn't you know? Oh, thanks. I've just wasted a couple of £100 and fucked this figure up. But all you can do is just call me an idiot for not watching several different videos or reading 800 pages of comments about this particular thing in order to find out that, oh, they didn't build it very well. Like, it's not my fault that they didn't do a good job. But yeah, so you do have to do that, definitely.
Yeah, you have to be careful. I mean, I have there's 2 new Mafex X-Men, well, they're not new now. New for me, Mafex Cyclops and Wolverine.
Well, we're gonna get onto this, but go on, yeah.
So those, I'm hesitant because I know that there are some issues with more the paint for both of them and Wolverine's arms. So I'm like, nah, we'll see.
Well, this brings us on to the next thing. Never let it be said that we don't make sacrifices for this podcast, because the two of us have held off opening our recent purchases in order to do it live on air, as it were.
As it were. Yeah.
I do feel like we need to make it clear that we're not sponsored by Mafex.
Oh yeah. No.
We just both buy quite a few Mafex figures. In fact, I have some pretty harsh words to say about Mafex, and I did, in fact. I spoke about their wrist joints. So we're not sponsored by Mafex, but we do like their stuff. So what do you have there to open, Dave? In fact, you just mentioned, didn't you?
Yeah. I have my Wolverine and Cyclops from their 90s Marvel Comics Jim Lee run type figures.
Yeah, Jim Lee inspired X-Men figures, which were very, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I was tempted by that first Wolverine when it was announced, but I thought, no, slippery slope, look out. don't start down that route, because then you'll be getting the Cyclops, then you'll be getting, and you don't even like Cyclops.
Oh yeah, see, it's this morning I was thinking to myself, what if they made a Beast? Wouldn't that be great?
That would be great. I'd be tempted. Do you know what? I'd be tempted to get a Beast.
Well, exactly. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, because I was thinking about the Dark Knight Returns Batman, and he's kind of chunky, he's kind of big. What if they engineered that?
Yeah. Talking of which, so the figure I have to open is Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, The Joker. Now, this is one where I wasn't originally going to pre-order this, but then I was like, but I've got the Batman, and it is a fantastic figure with the black cloak, black and grey one, and I've got the blue and grey one on pre-order that comes with Robin, and I've also got the armoured Batman on pre-order. And I've now got the Superman on pre-order. So I've basically gone in. I'm in for them all, aren't I? I'm clearly in for them all. So I did end up pre-ordering the Joker, even though the Joker's not a character that requires mad articulation. But I've got to say, looking at it through the window here, it's pretty beautiful. It's a pretty good-looking figure. So I'm going to pop it open. So, cheers. I'm slicing the tape now.
This is exciting.
There we go. I'm using a pair of scissors. I'm just using the blade of a pair of scissors to slice the tape here. I tend to open my figures at the top. What about you?
It depends on the figure. It depends on if there's any good graphics at the top versus the bottom.
I always go for the top, and I tend to go on the left-hand side. I think if it's on the side, if the flap's on the side. But I'm not too fussy. I know some people are very specific about what side they open. That they all open all their boxes on the same side and all that kind of stuff. That's not quite a big thing. Now, I hadn't thought of this actually, but the Joker comes with a stand. What the hell does he need a stand for?
To stand up, I would imagine. He's very top-heavy in that buff suit of his.
No! Well, maybe, but all the other previous Mafex figures I've got with stands make perfect sense because they've been Spider-Man or Batman. So, you know, they will be doing kind of leapy, jumpy type things, but you don't get the Joker doing that much. I suppose it's still good to have. I've got a few too many of these stands now, to be honest.
Yeah, they're all starting to mount up.
Mm.
I do love the colours on this, though. I think that's...
Yeah, let me increase the size of your window so I can see it. Yeah, it looks great. I mean, as we discussed before on WhatsApp, I'm more of a fan of the other deco. We're talking about Wolverine here, by the way, guys. I'm more of a fan of the like brown and tan outfit. I just think it's a lot more street level, and it looks, for me, Wolverine isn't a character who should be running around in like brightly coloured superhero gear. So it feels like that outfit, although that outfit is absolutely iconic, the Tiger Stripe one, not mostly, but quite a lot due to that TV series, the 90s animated TV series, it still always felt a little bit kind of weird to me. But that's because I'm an old comic book reader. I'm not, you know, my introduction to X-Men wasn't that TV series.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mixture of things for me. I think it's also, it's to show, sometimes even the video games.
Oh, yeah.
Why I like it so much. But then I think it was the kind of dry run we had in the movies as well, of like, The Matrix came out, and The Matrix had black leather. So like, we're all going to be in black leather now. Because...
Do you think that's what it was? I thought it was more. I thought it was more to do with the fact that at the time that those movies were being made, the idea of superhero costumes was a bit kind of like, they look ridiculous.
Oh yeah, they make a dig at it in the film. They even say it, like, you know,
spandex.
Something about spandex. Yeah.
Yeah, because superhero costumes do look a little bit ridiculous on real people now. The MCU have done a fairly good job of making them look all right. By kind of updating them and making them a bit more kind of intricate. And same goes for Spider-Man. They've kind of done it well there. But like previous to X-Men, there were some very dodgy-looking superhero outfits in superhero movies, you know? It worked for Superman because Superman's just so iconic, but there were some pretty... iffy, like there was that Captain America movie that was awful.
Oh, with the fake rubber ears on the suit on the outside and stuff. I mean, I get what you mean. I guess what I like about X-Men from that era of the 90s was that their uniforms were so ununiform. Everyone's suit they didn't necessarily look like they were part of the same unit or team.
Yeah,
all their suits
that was a new
mismatched and.
That was quite a new thing as well, because like when X-Men first came out, they all had an X-Men uniform, uniform, and they often did wear that. I mean, even Wolverine wore it at one point. There we go.
Oh, there he is.
Here's the Joker. Yeah, look at that.
Oh gosh, yeah, that face sculpt. Yeah, it does look like him.
It's nice. Yeah, and let's see if he's top heavy or not. Well, his feet are a bit wonky at the moment, so he's not going to stand on them. So there we go. He's got rockers, obviously.
Probably got a nice drop down.
He stands just fine. No, it's actually I'm kind of pleased I got him. Oh, he's got really nice knees. like look at this. They're kind of. Oh, I can show you.
Oh yeah.
Like really, got a nice hard section in the middle. Like because he's wearing a suit, so it's a bit difficult to do. But that's got a little bit of miscoloration in there. I can probably remove. But yeah, they're quite nice. The knees are really, really quite chunky, big chunky joints, which is nice. And the wrists.
Oh dear.
The bigger ball pegs than you get on your bloody Spider-Man.
Oh, but have you noticed recently with the Hush Catwoman? That they've started putting like pegs in the extra hands so they keep the shape and will be extra tight.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, that's good. They've done that with they've done that with the Sentinel Miles as well.
Yes, yeah.
His extra bits have like pegs in them to hold them together, like his the extra shorts have little plugs in the holes, so that you. That's good. I do. And look, oh yes, there you go.
Oh, he does have it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just showing Dave that my Joker, his additional hands are on little sprues, as it were, that you can take them on and off of, which is really nice. Because that's one thing that really is terrifying about some of the earlier Math-X stuff. The hands that are on them in the box come on and off just fine. But when you're trying to put the extra hands on, it's so tough, it's so tight, and you're absolutely terrified you're going to break the ball peg, especially those really, really tiny ones on things like Miles or whatever.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And pulling his head off to swap his head is such...
scary. There's nothing...
It made me hate the figure. I got so angry with it.
Because it's not just the head, it's the neck you have to swap out if you want the other bits.
Good God, I can't wait to replace it with that Sentinel figure. But yeah, no, I'm pleased with this. He's good. He's got this amazing second head.
Oh yeah, with the batarang in his face.
The batarang in his eye. Really good, actually. Yeah, I am happy with my purchase, even though originally I was like, I'm not sure about this. Have I gone a bit too far? What are you thinking of Cyclops? Does he look all right?
Oh yeah, they do. They both look great together. It's
because I know some people complained that the proportions were a bit wonky.
Oh, that does.
Like, because he's got a really wide chest, I think.
That doesn't bother me as much. I think even people had a problem with the long arms, and I just assumed that he had long arms because he needed to reach his face, whereas a lot of other characters don't. And it's like, well,
I suppose, okay. If you want to explain it that way, you go ahead.
That's the most logical reason I would think why his arms are longer than they need to be.
Yeah, you know that all humans can reach their face regardless.
Oh yeah, I know, but I mean, like
the lens of
when it comes to an action figure, there's always that weird type of outward pose it has to do to reach the head. But I guess they want it to be more, you can adjust it.
Yeah, they need butterfly joints here, that kind of thing. That's always really, that used to really piss me off with, so I'm quite a big Green Arrow fan. Not Arrow. I think Arrow is terrible, guys. Awful, terrible TV show. Please do not watch it. But Green Arrow, big fan of Green Arrow. But the number of Green Arrow figures and Hawkeye figures that can't actually do a pulling a bow stance pose because they don't have enough articulation in their elbows and shoulders or wrists, because you've obviously got to move wrists as well. Because there's a specific way of holding a bow. That really pisses me off. But it's like, this figure, this character is a bowman. It's what he does. He shoots arrows. He should be able to stand there and pose with you. You've even put a bloody bow in with him. He's got to be able to hold it and look like he's lining a shot up.
He's got to do the thing that he's meant to do. It's yeah.
My optics! Right, I think that's just about enough for part 2 of our ongoing collecting series of podcasts. Part 3 should be on displaying your figures. And after that, who knows? If you have any suggestions for what part 4 might be about, please let us know on social media. You can connect with us on Facebook. There's an AARGH My Optics page. I'm on there as Orion Ghia. And on Twitter and Instagram, I am at Ghia Orion and Orion_Ghia respectively. Dave, where can they go to find endless wonky blue background documentations of your strange fetish for infantilized versions of every franchise under the sun?
On Instagram at VirtualDave26.
Excellent. If you enjoyed our podcast, well done. It's no easy task, I'm sure. However, if you did, and you'd be so kind as to like and subscribe and share and, let other people know about it, we'll be eternally grateful. Talking of terribly kind behaviour, we'd like to thank those that have given us encouragement on social media, message boards and so on. We really appreciate it. And we'd like to thank you all for listening. Please do join us again next time on AARGH My Optics.